What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of Art Power. Today we will be reacting and learning from an artist from Paris. We'll let her introduce her name and let's get started. I just want to say the reason for learning and watching these videos is to pick up little details that we might not learn on our own. It's always good to dive into somebody else's process to get a feeling for how they do their art.
I used to paint for myself. I used to paint for channeling things that I needed to channel, to heal also my past. But now I only paint for others. I only paint for people to feel better, to connect with something greater. I'm Marie-Amélie Chéreau. I'm French, from Paris, and I'm an artist. I'm a painter, and I'm also a writer. I write novels. I've always been into art. You know, I was born, I was, I think, almost drawing when I was a kid, very, very young. My maternal grandmother was an artist, and she taught me almost everything about art, and I was painting a lot with her when I was a child. And then during my whole childhood, teenagehood period, I took classes at a French school in Paris called École Martonneau. And I've painted until I went to university. And in my family, there was not really space for becoming an artist. And I think I was absolutely not ready at that moment to embody or to go onto that path. And my father really raised me to become a businesswoman, and there were no space for anything else. So I did the whole thing of, you know, being the good girl and answering daddy's expectation. So I did a big business school in France, and then I started a corporate career, and I was actually pretty successful, and I ended up being vice president for one of the biggest luxury group in the world, in Hong Kong, managing one of their division. And 12 years ago, exactly 12 years ago, January 24, I had an extremely violent burnout. And my whole life in a split second collapsed, really in a split second. And I broke in 1 million pieces. And a lot of things of my past came back, I had to deal with. And I started I started a very long journey of uncovering my past and facing. Also, I was dealing at that moment with a lot of self-destructing behavior. And yeah, I had to open the Pandora box and see what was in it and deal with it. And it's been some very, very difficult years. I started writing. 4 years later, I published my...
I think, like, as an artist and somebody who can resonate with what she just said, like, if you're born to do this shit, like, if you're born to be an artist, if you neglect it, and if you don't, like, exercise your need to create, you're gonna be self-destructive, you know. It's inevitable because we're wired different, you know, on purpose. We're meant to be like this.
First book, Les Autruches, the ostriches in France, which is basically my story, but it's not only my story. It's 3/4 of the book is my story, but the last part of the book, I wrote, my main character is...
If you can only perform when the deadline is on fire, here are 3 things that will
named Camille. And I wrote Camille in Dream's life because for me it was my only way to move forward. It was my only way to deal with what I was going through. And I really needed something to, you know, to hang on, to make me believe that life was worth living. So I created Camille Dream Life. So Camille is becoming an artist. And the crazy thing is that over the last 4 years, what I wrote 10 years ago became reality. I'm in some scene that I wrote 10 years ago, 7 years ago, became the exact reality with the same words, with the same character. People came into my life with same names as I had given them in the book. So this is really crazy. So yes, alongside with the painting, the art came back. And I started painting first for myself. And then, as I was saying, at some point I met someone who introduced me to a gallery. I started selling my first painting. 1 year later, I had an amazing big show in Munich. I was living in Munich at that time. And then one thing led to another. And actually, I felt deeply inside me that, being an artist is not a choice. Being an artist is a calling, it's a mission. You are born as an artist, you don't decide. And at some
I love it. Like, you don't decide. It's like, as humans, we like to believe that we are in control. And yeah, like, I'm sitting in this dark room and I can turn on the light, but I can't make the sun rise and set. I can't make it rain. So yeah, there's a small amount of control that I have in my daily life, but the rest is like I've been given. And it's my duty as a human or as myself to find my path and walk onto it, to make it life easier for me. Because I'm going to get to the destination no matter what, like where I'm meant to go. But if I want to live through this life with a level of peace and clarity, then it's my responsibility to use the control that I do have to align with what I'm meant to do. You see what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense.
point, life brought me back through this burnout to my real path. But what I've learned during those 20 previous years, during my corporate life, also helped me a lot to move in this artist world, which is extremely tough as well. Corporate life is tough, but the art world is even tougher. And I think I have a pretty good luggage that I've learned in the corporate world that helps me a lot today navigate through the art world and how I manage my life, how I manage my building as an artist, how I'm very disciplined, I'm very motivated, I'm very focused, and I've learned all those assets, I don't know how to say, those qualities when I was managing teams, leading projects, building strategies for brand. So it helped me a lot. When I was a child, actually when I was born, has been totally repressed during all those years, like my memories. And at some point, I finally let space for this artist to emerge. But I've always been there, and some of the gallerists that I've met told me, it's amazing what you've been doing in 4 years, what you're presenting today after 4 years, of really being a professional artist is almost as accomplished as the work some artists have been doing during 40 years or 30 years. But again, as an artist, my own journey shows me that most of the creation is in the invisible world. And at some point you build, you gather, you create in your mind, in your psyche, in your unconscious. And at some point it's ready to flourish. Like, a flower or a tree that grows, at some point it's ready and it happens very quickly. It doesn't mean the work is not done. The work is done, but just in the invisible world. And when it's ready, it comes out. And most of the time, it's also what's happening with my painting. People don't understand. It's very complicated for people to understand in the world we are living in that you are receiving, I mean, I'm receiving my work, my painting, in being present, in being in the moment, in praying, in meditating. I see things in front of my eyes. I see how I'm going to build them. I see them unfolding in front of me. But I need to be in this.
I really appreciate like her perspective and some of the things that she's saying, so I'm not interrupting much because I don't know, it's like she's speaking the words that are in my mind, so I have no need to interrupt. You feel me?
Space of receiving, to be in this quiet space so that it can come. And then when it's ready, when I have my seri, then I can go. But 80% of the job is already done. And those are hours of, as I was saying, being silent, reading, going to museum, speaking with other people, just receiving, also drawing, doing some little sketches, playing, having fun as well. It's part of the journey. And then when it comes to, okay, it's ready, then I go into my bubble, I retire from the world, and then I'm just in my studio, and I can paint until 3 hours in the morning, and I have to be available for what's coming when it's coming, and I'm not the one deciding, I'm just receiving, I'm the servant here. Okay, I have a purpose, I know what I'm doing. My purpose in my work is going towards unity. I want to bring forward this whole one that we are all together into the canvas. So it's all about unity, that we are all connected, that we are all one. So I'm building this road, this way towards unity year after year. And I'm doing one seri per year. And I can see how those seri are unfolding one after another. And it's amazing also to witness that. It's like a child growing, and I know that I'm receiving what I need to master or to process, and then I'm ready to move on to the next seri. So in 2021, my seri was Les Initiatiques, and it's mainly a lot of things about my own story. So those paintings are very personal. Then the next year, in 22, the seri was Les Messagères, the messenger. And all those ones carry very strong messages. And they are made, I only do oil painting, and they are made with layers and layers of oil painting and palette knife. I paint with palette knife at the end. Brushes at the beginning and palette knife at the end. And there are successive layers of painting. And I usually always start with a figurative drawing on the canvas, and then I erase everything, but the drawing is still there. And then I brush, I create lines, and then I recover everything with another layer of painting, and then comes my palette knife. And the last layer of painting, the last moment on the canvas, maybe lasts between 30 seconds, 1 minute, but it's the moment where everything happens. And in those paintings, Les Messagères série, some faces, some animals, some angels have appeared out of nowhere. I never drew them or painted them. They are just here, and you can very well see them. You can recognize them. So that's why I've named them Les Messagères, because they bring a message. They're telling you a story. So that was this seri, Les Messagères. And then the year after, 23, I made the série Les Silencieuses. They're just lines. They're lines. So here, in contrast to the palette knife painting, where I'm really in a kind of trance, I'm receiving, I'm dancing in front of the canvas. For Les Silencieuses, you have to be very focused, very concentrated, because it's about painting perfect lines. So the way of receiving those paintings is extremely different. They are more quiet paintings. They don't say much. You just receive their presence. They're more kind of space of meditation between you and the canvas. And then the year after, 24, last year, I did Les Saintes. But Les Saintes, it's like with a C. It's like being built. So it means, so obviously when you hear the name, it's it recalls the scent, like holly, but it means also surrounded by light. So all this collection, this series, are white paintings, but still, I'm still taking the same process: lines, palette knife, white, and the last layer is white, and I'm receiving what's happening on the canvas with the palette knife at the end. So they worked extremely well. I sold almost all of them, especially in the US. Very funny. I work with a gallery in the US, Silas von Morris, and they've sold almost everything in the US with the Lissin, the white painting. And this year, moving towards this purpose of unity, and I see how everything I've been doing those previous years are helping me building this purpose, this journey. I'm working on a series called Les Incarnés, the incarnated, and everything starts being together. You know, I write, so I've written 2 novels, and actually Les Autruches, the ostriches I was mentioning earlier, has been released in the US 6 months ago under the title From Broken to Whole, The Courage to Heal and Reclaim Your Dream Life. But I also do automatic writing. I do a lot of automatic writing, which is a kind of, would say, vibrational writing, signs. And I've been doing those for many years. I have pages and pages of those languages. And at some point I felt on Les Saintes, they were also written underneath, like giving a vibration on the painting, giving a message on the painting. And I felt it was the moment to bring them forward. So the incarnated, the Les Incarnés, it's this whole journey towards making the word becoming the flesh, moving from the invisible to the visible and bringing the light forward, because the center, the core of my work is bringing the light forward. I paint to bring a spiritual transmission. It's about transmission. So it's about, I say that with a lot of humility, but I'm really trying to bring the light forward, bring to the viewer this space where when they look at one of my paintings, they feel the beauty they have within themselves. They can resonate with the vibration, with the energy that lies within the painting, and then they can, through the mirror effect of the painting, connect with something greater, connect with their soul, see through this lens of the painting the beauty that lies within them, and that they feel something greater that comes to them. When I see the journey of some of my paintings, it's just amazing. I know when I start a painting, basically the soul or the future, I don't like the name of owner, I would say destinatory, receiver, is already by my side. I know it, I feel it. And when I see some, as I was saying, the journey of some of my painting that have been to some place and then came back to go to someone else, it's absolutely amazing. My whole purpose is to help people connect to something greater, fill them with wholeness that you don't find so much in these days. In the world we are living in, that is sometimes very empty, very violent, with a lot of lack of meaning and purpose. Well, I do hope they can reconnect with this sense of purpose and meaning and belongings through the connection they can find in my paintings. 2 years ago, I sold a painting to a guy, which it's a painting I like very, very much. And 1 year later, he wrote me and he said, when I acquired your painting, I was at the end of my life. I was in a very, very dark place. And since then, since I have this painting with me, I've started reclaiming my own life. And that's the best compliment, the most beautiful thing I can hear, because it's why I'm painting.
When you listen to her speak, you can tell that she's resurrected herself. You know, there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of confidence, a lot of things that we have to continue to work on and build within ourselves. I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Art Power, and I'll see you next time.